Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're live.
It's live. Yes. Okay. I'll shut up.
Okay.
Then. Do your intros.
I don't do intros yet.
Yes, you do, Michael.
Yeah, we're live.
It's live. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I got to turn off the sound on the other screen. There we go.
How long have you been doing this? Good grief.
I know. So today I said that I wanted to do an AMA and get back into Hangout and get back in the swing of things, right? Because I took like 2 weeks of study time away. So I'm back.
And you figured the best way to do this was to have me on as a guest.
Yes.
Wow. Well, hey, Grey Knight and Draken.
Hi, Draken. Hey, Grey Knight.
Hey, Exiled, by the way.
So Draken wants an intro because he asked the question, who are these bitches?
And again, I say, how long have you been doing this?
So I suppose he's talking about us. I'm Michael, Agent of Doubt. You're Brian J. 1962.
Yep, correct. Guilty as charged.
There's a possibility that his wife, Exiled, might cough in the background.
Yeah, and she's moderating the chat room for you, so that's good news.
Oh yeah, she will bounce you if you Hitler.
She will bounce your ass from here to.
I will still answer the question about Hitler, but she is completely anti-Hitler question.
That's possibly true, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you anti-Hitler question, honey? I've got to wait for her to hear it now on the stream.
So, Brian.
Yes.
It's one of those British phrases, if I'm honest.
It is?
Yes. The phrase, if I'm honest, is a British phrase.
Oh, okay.
If I'm honest. There's something that
I'll take that honestly.
There's something of this first part of the stream I don't know that you're completely going to be into because it's drama-like. It is drama-like. And that's how I like to start my streams is those people who came for drama, reward them right away so that they can leave. Right?
Not keep them hanging on for the...
No. I want to have an intimate relationship with the people who aren't here for drama, like for a very long time after we just get the drama out of the way.
But you're supposed to use cliffhangers. I mean, well, this is how we do it on the radio. You use cliffhangers to keep people listening. That's how you do it.
I suppose. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to show you guys some stuff that went down. Right?
Okay. Before
I asked everybody else to ask me a question, somebody else asked me a question, and this is the part that I'm not sure that you're going to be down with. But if you play along, there is a payoff.
All right, I'll jump on the hay wagon for the ride.
Okay. So, a couple of days ago,
oh my good Lord.
Bewildered Ape sent me a question on Twitter. Okay. And that question was, that request was, he said, Agent of Doubt, do a YouTube search of Stephan Molyneux with upload date filter on. There is some very dodgy shit happening. Molyneux's Poland nationalism video is getting massive boosting by sock accounts. Right?
Okay.
And so I sent him a reply, and I think I can play it with the sound on.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Let me get the...
I'm not ignoring you.
Okay, here we go.
Dear Mr. McDermott, just wanted you to know that I'm not ignoring you. I did see your tweet to me, and I have no idea why you would reach out to me for something, given our history, but I do think that maybe I owe you something because of what we've been through. So I will look into this Stephan Molyneux video and whether or not it was boosted. I got to say, on a cursory look, I'm a little bit busy right now, but I did look at it, and it looks like it's about twice the view count of the other videos that were posted around the same day. But given all the videos that he's posted in the month, it doesn't look out of the ordinary. The comments look like they checked out, like they weren't really from a comment farm. You know, the level of comments look right. But that's not to say he's not boosting, right? When I get finished with everything I'm going to do today, I'll check out some places where he might have had his video posted to get it a little bit more traffic, some alt-right places, and I'll let you know. And I don't care whether you're testing me to see if I'll check out someone on the right as much as I'll check out someone on the left, or if you just like to see people who aren't passing the purity test of social justice squabbling amongst each other, or you just want me to see the crap that I'll get into if I talk about Stephan Molyneux. I don't know. I just want you to know that I'm your Huckleberry. I will do it as soon as I get home tonight, okay? Later.
Okay.
Okay, my first reaction on seeing the question was, okay, soccer counts.
Okay. What happened was I was very busy when I first checked it out, right?
All right.
And so what I did was I searched for Stephan Molyneux, right? And this was the part that I did wrong. Okay. There were some specific instructions that Bewildered Ape gave me, and I did them wrong.
Okay.
So I searched for Stephan Molyneux, and this is where I went wrong. I went right to the first link here. I hit Stephan Molyneux for his channel, and I looked at his channel, right? So I went to videos, and he has this Poland Nationalism Rising video. It's right here on the right. And it has 154,000 views. You know, and the other videos that came out like the same day, 3 days ago, they were, 67 views. One was 57K views, right? So 67 and 57K are, 2 to 3 times less views than this video is getting. So it is very popular. And what I thought I was going to do is just look at the video with my tube buddy on, and just look at this video in particular. And I was going to look at, like, where was it posted online, stuff like that. I was going to look at all those sorts of metrics. That's not what he was asking. I thought maybe this video might have been posted on, like, Stormfront, the blog, and people were sharing it back and forth in alt-right circles. Tommy Robinson's in it, right? So right. I thought maybe that had given it a little bit more of a push than his other videos. Maybe it was being shared in alt-right forums. That's not what he was asking me to do, right? If you look at Bewildered Ape's tweet to me right here, it says, do a search on Stephan Molyneux with upload date filter on.
Yeah.
Right? Specifically, you go to Stephan Molyneux, right?
Yeah. And
turn on upload date filter.
Yeah.
And see, I was going to go just scroll down and see where he posted that video, right? So the first one I see is Poland Nationalism Rising, Tommy Robinson and Stephan Molyneux, no views. And this one is the same video, 4 views. And this one's the same video, 1 view. Same video, no views. That video is on a whole bunch of sock accounts. It's being mirrored. Right? So I'm looking at the same video on all of these sock accounts with very few views on it.
Okay.
Right?
Well, with regards to the sock account aspect of things, what are these channels that are hosting them?
The no-name channels. They're unknown channels. They're Iride Cabrera, Afaf Fafif, Erhahe Kaugas. I don't know. But I can tell you that Bewildered Ape found that because he made a video about Stephan Molyneux that got 180 views. And it was basically a parody of this video about Roy Moore that he did, right? So he like recut some of the interview that he had with someone else, and he put himself in, right? And if you were to see what was affecting the popularity of his own video, he would be looking at metrics like this. So you can see how it's just buried under all of these sock accounts reposting the same video about Stephan Molyneux, right? And what I can say is this is not necessarily something that's going to boost the views of the individual video on his channel, right? These views,
it's not. But what it is going to do, and what it's clearly aimed at trying to do, is get the video watched. It will bring Tommy Robinson and Stephan Molyneux more into the public awareness, for want of a better way of putting it.
Well, as far as what it's manipulating about the algorithm, it's backlinks.
Yeah.
And those backlinks don't necessarily affect YouTube. They affect Google. When you do a Google search of Tommy Robinson's, Tommy Robinson or Stephan Molyneux,
then this is going to stand a bigger chance of coming up.
You're basically going to see his website better.
Yeah.
You're going to be sent to his website because there are backlinks within the videos for freedomainradio.com, in the text, title, and description. This is basically going to give him a better presence on Google if you're looking for Poland, if you're looking for Poland and nationalism, if you're looking for Tommy Robinson, you're going to be more likely to get a link for Free Domain Radio on the front page of Google.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want my honest opinion on what's going on here, what we're seeing is an evolution on the click farm.
Yeah. And then when you go to his website and you search for nationalism, or if that first link that you got for Poland nationalism from Google went right to the blog post where he posted this video, then it's going to boost the views. But the boosting isn't happening like within YouTube's algorithm itself. It's happening with Google's algorithm, the search algorithm.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
So yes, Bewildered Ape is right to call out Stephan Molyneux for using this, or somebody using it to promote Stephan Molyneux. I've seen people set up before, especially Happy Cabby did that to a couple people where he sent sub for sub accounts to them just to laugh and at them when they got an extra 30,000 subscribers just like he had, and then they weren't getting any views because they were all fake accounts, and he would just giggle about it, and that would cost him like $30 to send that to somebody. It was like a $30 prank. And this could be a prank. It more likely looks like Stephan Molyneux is trying to cheat the system and stay on top.
To me, it looks more like, as I said, an evolution on the click farm.
Yeah.
This is someone who is using website technology to basically psychologically hack the internet. And it could very well be the result of some new enterprise in a third world country somewhere. And I don't mean to stereotype third world countries, but when you look at a lot of the locations of these click farms, they tend to be in places like Ghana and Nigeria and Somalia and third world countries. And this is the only way that they can get a foothold in the new digital economies.
I also noticed that people at the level of Stephan Molyneux can just pay a promotional company to stay, in search rankings better. There are SEO companies that rather than worry about you know, whether you're going to end up on the first link on the web search, you can just pay an SEO company
Yeah.
a portion of your earnings from your videos
Yeah.
to, you know, stay relevant. And that, what that does is, as soon as a person gets to a certain level on YouTube and they're getting a certain amount of revenue, if they just take a percentage of that revenue and reinvest it in SEO, they can ensure that they will never become irrelevant again.
Essentially,
it's
yeah. And this is why I think that I mean, the what was it? The Senate committee that's investigating the political machinations on the internet during the last election cycle just recently had Google and Facebook up in front of that committee answering questions. I think this is a valid expansion of that inquiry. Yeah, into click farms and search engine optimization companies, because their business remit, yeah, their business mandate is, as you just described it so eloquently, to stop you losing relevance ever again. And they will do whatever is digitally possible to ensure that those ends. Hey, Geordie, by the way.
This has actually been something that, for me, it's been formative in my opinions on how to operate on YouTube. And what I do is, I don't try to be a YouTube star anymore, right? There was probably the first year that I was on YouTube that I was bitten by that stardom bug of anyone could be a star, you know. But the more I get into it, I see, huh?
Only the first year or two?
After that, I was still enmeshed in the subject, but I never thought, you know, I had that possibility of being a star, you know. So, and the reason why is I was kind of let down by finding out the inner workings of how these algorithms work. And those people who were first famous on YouTube can just take a portion of their revenue and reinvest it in continuing to be famous on YouTube. And the people who are on the lower tiers never quite get that chance to grow, because all of the AdSense money is being used by the people who were first getting the AdSense money. And the only way to break free of that at this point is you would have to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to get a career where you are making tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
It's possible, but why would you do it now when you're going to invest more money than you would gain? Those people who are locking in their fame,
but here's the thing.
They're there forever.
Here's the thing, though. All right. Once that exploit has been exploited to the max by the likes of PewDiePie and, you know, all these other massive YouTube stars, okay?
Yes.
All right. And that data has been used in the fine-tuning of these algorithms who, from my recent correspondence with Google over the copyright stuff from last month or whenever it was, yeah, they are using artificial intelligence, machine learning programs to process all of the data that they're getting from search engine results, from uploads, from, you know, all of these various sources, yeah, content matches, etc., etc., etc. And they are using this data to improve the functionality of the engine.
Yes.
All right. Now, when you've got all of that work done, yeah, by all of these populism YouTubers, for want of a better term, you've essentially set up a platform that is ripe for exploitation by the only class that is in a position to actually make any use of it whatsoever, and that is the political class. And this is why we're seeing so much exploitation of these digital platforms by the the Politico right now.
I see where you're going with that. I mean, it's so easy to exploit these systems when you have
in
money.
order to be successful, you have to have such an investment, potential, that you can just throw money into it. Because guess what? You're going to get more bang for your buck throwing, let's say, $5 million into these SEO companies, than you are spending that same $5 million on an advertising campaign. Because guess what? The CEOs, the SEOs, or search engine, you know what I mean. These companies will do all of that for you. And they will, by definition, do it in the most effective, results-effective manner possible. And they will do so with the assistance of machine-learned algorithms and filtering and data sorting and targeting, etc., etc. I'm only surprised that it hasn't taken this long. Hey, Napalm. Hey, Fresh. And somebody else joined as well. Who was it? Oh, yes, the Bang Boys. So, yeah, there you go. I would say good call on that, Bewildered Ape, but welcome to this year.
Yeah, that's
Do you know what I mean?
harsh but true. I mean, yeah. But what I will say about Bewildered Ape is I didn't know exactly what he was getting at by calling out me to look at that.
I think that's you just looking for drama, to be honest.
So what I'm going to do is I'm changing the title of the hangout to include Stephan Molyneux cheating. Because I think maybe he was just trying to send me some shit. Right? And if there is some shit to be had on this, I'm not afraid of it.
That's already in the title.
Well, I just edited it.
Oh, okay.
You know, so the title will draw in more views from those Stephan Molyneux fans, and they're going to be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. No, it's pretty fucking plain. You can follow his instructions yourself. Search Stephan Molyneux, and then sort by upload date, and then scroll down, and you'll see all of these sock accounts posting the same video.
And the only thing that you need to know to add to that is just basic observancy of the internet over the last 2 years. Hey, Geordie. Hey, Matt.
Hello.
Sorry, I was sneezing as I came in. I've been sick this entire week.
Oh, that's not fun.
So
I think I'm finally breaking it because my ears are popping like firecrackers.
So Matt and Jordy, before you came in, we basically followed Bewildered Ape's instructions and saw that Stephan Molyneux was indeed cheating on YouTube in order to get more views by manipulating Google's algorithm by reposting the same video on sock accounts.
Either Stephan Molyneux directly or somebody acting on his behalf.
Yeah.
Well, some people do those tests independently from the users.
Yes.
When you're trying to break something, you might some people might get an excess of views for whatever reason, and that might not be them.
Yeah, but would they get an excess of channels hosting the same video?
Possibly. I would say I highly doubt it, but possibly.
I mean, the only way that could be any sort of test by Google or anybody at that level is if they are trying to set up some means of empowering people that would make use of such an exploit.
Grey Knight says it could simply be that he thought about researching bots and their impact on YouTube and views to be in our wheelhouse.
Oh, a Bewildered Ape. Yeah, that's a possible motivation. I could see that.
What happened with Bewildered Ape was he made a video parodying Stephan Molyneux by editing one of his interviews and editing himself into it. So Bewildered Ape already was invested in the Stephan Molyneux theme and videos by Stephan Molyneux. And when Bewildered Ape would have been looking for why his own video wasn't performing well, that would have been something that he could have looked at. That would have been how he would have identified the problem. So it was just that he asked me, of all people, to investigate this. You know, I just felt weird about that, and that maybe there was some ulterior motive, but maybe he just wants to expose Stephan Molyneux, and he was asking for people that, you know, he knew would bring it out to light regardless of prior affiliations with anyone.
Maybe he's just trying to reach across the divide, and you know, I don't know.
Maybe it's to take down a bigger enemy.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's tired. Maybe he's tired
look, Iran,
of lurking on the
I know
fringes.
we hate. It's like, look, Iran, I know we hate you, but Godzilla's around. We have to team up.
That's a valid perspective, yeah.
That's too good.
I know one of my
goes to back to one of my classic questions on my Friday show. Like, would 9/11 have been better if Cthulhu did it? I say yes.
No.
If Cthulhu did it?
No, it would have been.
It would have been prettier.
Because they united all of the world, because they're like, shit, they're space gods. We have to take care of that. And two, Cthulhu's a pussy. He got defeated by a ship running into his head. We have missiles now.
It would certainly be more cinematic, should I say.
I suppose.
So in conclusion, Stephan Molyneux is a knob?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I think we already came to that conclusion with other means, but...
Yeah, he was a knob 10 years ago. He's a knob now.
You know who was a giant knob?
Could also
bald
be
guy.
like,
Pat something? Pat Condell?
could also just be his little fans making the bots.
That could be true too.
Yeah, true. But the sheer number of them does show some sort of coordinated effort.
Well, one thing that I noticed back when I was researching sub for sub websites and the phenomenon of that is I got added to a sub for sub place without sub for subbing anyone. And through that, for a couple of years, I would notice every so often I would get 10 to 30 subscribers that all had names that were like a regular first name, a number, and then a regular first name. Like Jackson 14 Austin. And then the next one would be Austin 17 Martinez. And these accounts would all subscribe to me and then unsubscribe. And then subscribe to me and unsubscribe.
Is there any
I have the same thing on Twitter.
similar observation?
I got put on like one of those bots.
Well, what happened was, like these websites, in order to make their bots look real, they do have to affect people other than the people paying. Because if they only did the people paying, it would be really easy for YouTube to ban all the people who had paid for third-party services. But these third-party services will intentionally hide themselves by trying to boost some of the larger YouTubers so that everyone is implicated. So that way YouTube can't just simply ban all the people affected, because some of the people are affected for free and they had nothing to do with any transactions with that third-party company. They're just hiding who's really paying.
Yeah.
And in this way, everyone's views are artificially boosted. Everyone gets view counts that are super high, but their comments are like 1% of their subscriber count. And their views are like 10% of their subscriber count because there's all these dead accounts everywhere.
Yeah.
Here's a question just for my own knowledge. How many of your subs do you think are bots, Mike?
I'd say I personally probably have 1,000 good subscribers that will watch my channel maybe once a month or more. And I feel like I have 3,000 good subscribers from the debacle with Laughing Witch and Thunderfoot. That boost in my subscribers came directly from his channel. And anything I say about drama on YouTube, they come back to watch my videos. So that those subscribers I feel are real. And so 4,000 out of 11 right now I feel are real. And the other 7,000 I feel are all either fake or dead. They're either from sub for sub places that are hiding their numbers, or they're from people who subscribed to me and then forgot their password to their Google accounts and they just started a new Google account, or they had a different Google account on their phone than they had on their they switched phone companies and they had to get a whole new
I know at least 30
YouTube
of your subs aren't me.
30 of them are you? Oh, from all your different incarnations
At
of
least.
Yeah, because you've lost so many channels.
Yeah.
Back when I could look at how many people were subscribed to me and I could look at their specific names, I had 4 different channels that were all Richard Coughlin. I had 3 channels that I remember of that were Vogter. I had Vogter 2000. And then all the permutations of everyone's channels when they were losing channels left and right. Yeah, I had all of those, like a collection of dead accounts subscribed to me that at that time, I had the option of deleting those subscriptions. You could back then look at that. But now YouTube doesn't let you look at like the individual subscriber anymore to be able to thin your numbers.
Well, they do give you a list of all your subscribers, and you can go to those channels.
They don't do it in a way where people are held accountable for it, though. It used to be that you could go to someone's channel page and look at their subscribers from outside of their own account looking at it. You used to see who they're subscribed to in a box, and you used to see who's subscribed to them. And that was a box that you had a choice of whether or not to put that widget on your channel page.
You still do.
What?
You still do.
For real?
I do.
Where is the option?
Well, hang on. Let me go over to my channel and show you. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh yeah, AOD. I don't know if you've seen this, but Shady for Christ.
Jenny for Christ?
I'm a mush mouth. I'm not good with names.
Okay.
I say Warsh instead of Wash. But she's gone flat out crazy.
Yes.
Yes. She was already crazy.
Like she's talking about MK Ultra.
Oh, fun.
I've had a few links sent to me from people that are wanting me to see these. There's this new resurgence in channels where people are talking about machine gunning, which is like some government program to send electric pulses through the air to like give people pain all over their body.
Yeah, Shani was talking about that too.
Yeah, they're called the targeted individuals. And so they will use the tag targeted a lot in their videos. That's how you would find a lot of them. And yeah, there was one that was, she has a PhD, like a legitimate PhD, and she's making videos with a tinfoil hat on, for real. And you have to wonder, is she fake with that tinfoil hat? Or, I mean, her whole room is covered with tinfoil. You know?
Like, at some points, you have to figure out, like, if they have a donation button, they might be fucking with you.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, then they might be for real.
Okay, so here we are. We're looking at my channel.
That's the way.
Okay. All right.
Let me put you on the central person. Here we go.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. So here's my channel. All right.
I'm looking at it. Okay.
Now here we've got channels. So I'll go over to
Channels.
channels. Okay. Here you can see my recommended channels, and here you can see my subscriptions.
Can you see those people who are subscribed to you?
Yes. I go over to hang on. Where is it?
Can other people see who are subscribed to you?
Let's give them a minute.
Yeah. Thank you, Geordie. So I'll go to my video manager.
I think you have to go all the way into your creator
over
studio to
down
see your subs.
to community.
Yeah.
All right, and subscribers. So I can see who my subscribers are,
But
and
other
I
people
can.
can't.
Other people can't. No, but I can go over to this guy, for example. Yeah, and I can check his channel. I can see that he's got 15 subscribers. Yeah, I can subscribe to him.
And his name looks not like it was generated, like it looks like a whole bunch of other names that are right next to it. Like the naming conventions that I said, where it's like a name, then a number, then a name. And when you see that like 10 times in a row, you realize they're all socks.
Well, yeah, or it could just be that there happen to be that many, just to use this guy's name as an example, Peter Antaflies. Antalfes. Yeah, I mean,
Antifa.
yeah, I mean, it all depends. It all depends on the name, obviously, because obviously there are some names that are more common than others, obviously.
Okay, the reason why I think it's more important whether you can see other people's subscribers is that's what would keep people honest. Like if other people could see how many of my subscribers were dead channels and bots, I might be inclined to go in and delete all the dead subscribers. If someone says, hey, you have 30 people that are all old napalm channels, you should subtract that 30 from your
yeah, but
subscribers.
What I'm saying is that you, yeah, not other people, but you can actually go through your subscriber list and manually remove all the dead napalm channels.
So long as it's just a number and people feel that number is a badge of their growth on the platform, they're not going to go in and do it. They're just going to keep that number rising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but isn't that as it's always been?
Well,
oh, hang on. We've got some comments to check.
Back in the first 2 years of YouTube, when you could have more customization of your own channel page, that widget being standard and you having to turn it off if you wanted to hide it, that was actually something that was keeping people honest. The reason why they removed that widget actually is because there were spiders. These spiders were programs that would crawl everyone's channel page, find out all the accounts, and then start sending PMs to everyone saying, hey, check out my video, check out my channel. So yeah, well, in order to break that cycle, they removed that feature being standard so that you couldn't crawl over the entire platform and see who subscribed to who and get a list of people to PM.
Holy crap, I forgot about that. I remember the PMs now.
Yeah, before I shoehorn these
technically they still do have PMs, but again, they hid the fuck out of those.
There is one point I'd like to just quickly raise as one of the things they have been talking about Twitter in the chat room. And I know that Twitter has an online, it's not actually run by Twitter themselves, but there is a page that you can go to and you can see what percentage of your Twitter followers are false. Yes. And I'm wondering whether Social Blade or some other mechanism exists for providing that analytic for YouTube. There has to be.
I know I did a series of videos on Anita Sarkeesian's Twitter followers being fake.
It might be harder though with YouTube because most of the YouTube channels don't even make videos.
That's true. A lot of them are just commenting channels. Okay,
Or
there are
just
some
like grandmas who are like, I like watching the cat videos.
So I did have other questions that I had to ask, or sorry, had to answer for this AMA video, and I will get to them. One of them, we'll just get it out of the way, was, did Hitler do anything wrong? Because that's just a question that people have a meme about, right?
Is this an open to the floor discussion, or is it?
Sure, you guys can chime in on that. Did Hitler do anything wrong?
Define wrong.
The opposite of right.
Define right.
Define Hitler.
And that's the thing that I actually think is a valid statement. It is define Hitler, because I am not a history buff, right? I know that killing that many Jewish people is wrong. I know the other people that Hitler killed with his wars are wrong, right? But do I really know who Hitler is when I've been inundated in my life with the History Channel saying that Hitler was a Satanist trying to like incorporate satanic rituals for like even like Norse gods and stuff into his life? When I opened up some history books and I read Hitler was fucking Catholic.
Yeah,
Forget all the Nazi superstructures.
And
It's like the really super hardcore anti-Jew. Like, believe it or not, Hitler was not the most anti-Jew person in Nazi Germany. There are other people who are like, you know what, we shouldn't be Christians because Christianity is a Semitic religion.
Yeah. Well, the belt buckles for the Nazis saying Gott mit uns was God with us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that was completely like the Catholic Christian God. Right?
And it's also the current mantra of the US, being God's country.
Yeah. So, like, was he completely evil? I can see a lot of parallels between Nazi Germany and the US as being like trying to police a certain portion of the world, as being guilty of killing a lot of people and having their reasons for it. I mean, we do kill a lot of brown people, in other countries.
You can admit Hitler saved more animals than anybody else because he was a vegetarian.
To be fair, he was only a vegetarian because of the World War I methamphetamines the German army was feeding their troops.
True.
If we are running rampant with pattern matching, as it feels like we still are, there is something also fundamentally. There is a fundamental correlation between the US, Germany, and most other political centers in the world. Certainly the high-flying, powerful ones, and that is the roots in Greek democracy and Greek architecture and Romanesque architecture. How far do you want to go with your pattern matching?
Cough drop.
What I will say about what Hitler did wrong is the first thing that he did wrong was he dropped out of art school because some art teacher said that they didn't like his art. I mean, I've had a whole bunch of people say that they don't like my art. Did I stop making art? No. And that's really been a boon to my life, and it's made me a nicer person. And maybe if Hitler had not stopped painting.
But he didn't. He went into business painting postcards. That was after.
Well, yeah, if he did wait a little longer, like landscapes would have became popular again.
I mean, all you can really say in comparison with you and your art is that you haven't given up painting yet.
Well, and I do it for me.
If you were to
I don't do it as a business.
Successful or something, then you might still give up your painting.
I do it as something that's a cathartic release for me. It's an artistic expression. I'm not doing it as a business where I'm losing the love of it.
Well, it turns out Hitler wasn't either, because he was behind on his orders.
Once a week, I'm just going to tell you how much of a shitty artist you are, Mike.
I would get behind on my orders too if
something Hitler did objectively
my heart
wrong.
wasn't in it.
He took direct control of the German military. That didn't work out. It's like, yeah, we're gonna invade Russia in the middle of winter. Brilliant.
Yeah, that was a strategy. That was. I mean, good grief! Did he not read about the Napoleonic Wars? Good grief!
Well, the thing about
they should have it would have taken forever, but they should have invaded, and then when winter came, just left, and then go back next spring, and then repeat.
Yeah, but the other issue with that decision strategically, Matt, was fighting on more than one front. That's not something you can do against a concerted enemy, one concerted enemy, let alone two.
Yeah, but at that point, France was out and the UK was back on the island. They were like, we can focus on the Soviets now. Everybody in Western Europe is pretty much done with.
I don't think Germany was completely ignoring of America's positioning at that point. Yeah, don't forget that they had targeted some of your transatlantic cargo ships and various other things. Yeah, and there was the impending war in the Pacific that was slowly ramping up and really kicked off after Pearl Harbor. Yeah, I mean, Germany was aware of all of these things happening on the political stage just as much as it was aware of what were happening in Europe. That was a bad strategic move.
What I feel about Hitler, in my perspective, growing up in a family where all of my dad's friends were in the army. My dad was in the army, and they had things like the Hanoi Jane urinal target, right? and this was a sticker with Jane Fonda's face that you were supposed to stick inside of a toilet so that you could pee on her face all the time. And that was before Snopes on the internet could debunk things. This was back in the 80s, right? Where people would photocopy jokes and then have a whole folder in their job that thick of photocopied jokes that people had passed on. And then when they go to a new job, they take their joke folder. And this was how they would spread memes, right? Back then, Hitler was synonymous with Satan. Hitler was the worst person, and above and beyond everything he did, his name turned into evil. And so it's yes, Hitler did something wrong, just yes, Satan did something wrong. I don't believe in the existence of Satan, but the concept of it is intrinsically he is wrong and evil. And so in that sense, yes, Hitler is always wrong. Everything Hitler does is wrong. When you use the word Hitler to describe another person, you're trying to tell them that they are the ultimate wrong. It's the wrongest you can be.
Well, just playing devil's advocate here, okay?
Yeah.
But when you say everything about Hitler was wrong and evil, does that mean include his love of puppies?
There must have been some sinister bent to it. He loved puppies because he wanted to raise them to be bait dogs for fighting pit bulls. That's why he was loving on them. Oh, you're going to be
and how
so
much
good.
of that is projection?
Probably a lot, and more so for the generation before me. that didn't have so much access to information on the internet.
Yeah. See,
You know?
there's one thing that happens absolutely without fail when you either demonize somebody to the point of Hitler, or you deify them to the point that some do Trump.
Absolutely. You
Also
don't look at
Hitler, let's be
nuance.
honest. Some people deify Hitler.
Well, there are a lot of parallels that can be drawn. It has to be acknowledged, but that is true, as Exile just said, for anybody. Yeah, I'm sure you could dissect my life and come up with two absolutely opposing narratives. One of me as saint, and the other as ultimate sinner. Which one of them is true? Yeah, so this is one of the problems that we have as a species when it comes to pattern matching and assigning causes, yeah, and correlations to those patterns. Yes, we try and do it with a high probability of accuracy, but when we get it wrong, we can get it catastrophically wrong. And the reason is simple, because fundamentally correlation does not equal causation.
Now that we've gotten through the inevitable bit about Hitler and Nazis.
Can we have wax crayons now?
No, I'm actually cleaning my desk while we cover these topics. Jordy asked me a question. He said, something, kratom, something, bastard.
That's a question.
No, well, I think me and the commenters were trying to get you to talk about kratom for like the longest time, and then I think we got you to do it once, and then now the trolls are talking about that kratom thing for some reason. So I was like, oh, we'll just ask about that real quick.
Okay, so the kratom thing, I see.
I'm more interested in the something.
I see in my practice maybe 10 new people that I've never seen before in my life every night, right?
Correct.
And some of these people, probably 5% of those, are addicted to opiates. And of those people that I do see addicted to opiates, which may be one person a night, right, on average, hardly any of them have tried kratom as a harm reduction method of getting themselves free. Kratom, it seems like it was cracked down on by the government prior to the rumor that it could help people get off of opiates spreading. Like they saw that there was this little meme on the internet that it could help people, and they decided to make it scheduled prior to people like ordering a whole bunch of it on the internet and stockpiling it. So there's not a lot of people here in Colorado that are using it for the purpose of getting off of opiates or pain management at all.
Yeah, because I was just curious as to what your awareness was. Mostly.
Unfortunately, like if I knew more people that had been using it, I could tell you the withdrawal symptoms that I'd seen. I've never seen anyone who's used kratom regularly. Like I've never met that person. It's like I've never met anyone who has used Flocka yet. I have this bingo card of all drugs you could use. I have Flocka, I have bath salts, I have Cot on it, right? None of those are checked off my bingo card. I've never seen the person who's abusing bath salts. I know they exist, and it's Florida Man who's doing it, because Florida Man loves to do everything wrong, right? And whenever you hear news about Florida Man, it's not good. But I've never run across it, and I meet different people every night.
Right, I was just curious as to what your awareness was. Apparently not a lot. But apparently that's been reversed.
I've watched a whole bunch of documentaries on kratom, and it seems that there's a lot of people who believe that it's no more dangerous than coffee. as far as your withdrawal symptoms that you would experience if you were to go off of it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well.
It looks like it's a partial agonist that would go to your opioid receptors and just not work that well. But you could, if you were trying to get off of opiates, you could use naltrexone. You just get an injection and have that injection like once a month and get the same result as kratom as far as helping you not experience highs. And, as far as pain management, you could go to Suboxone or methadone. I would not recommend methadone.
Yeah, probably. Oh, straight up.
When Suboxone exists, I would go with Suboxone.
How the pharmacies work here, at least in Canada, there's places where you see lineups of people just for methadone alone, and unfortunately, they aren't on like the high-paying profit bracket of people. I don't know how to say that without sounding like an asshole. There's lines of people just for methadone alone. Such a bad idea. Sorry. Go ahead. My apologies.
Lulz the Apprentice is saying that South Carolina just added a few more fentanyl variations to the controlled drug schedule. And yeah, that's where the big money is as far as illegal drug dealings, is coming up with different variations to fentanyl and spice. There are some Black Mamba spice variations right now on the street that people have been smoking, and they come in to hospitals and to detoxes, and they are fucked up for at least a day, like to where you can't even talk to them and have a rational discussion.
Like, at what point do you decide that you're going to sell something with fentanyl in it? Because that means your dude is dead. Are they retarded?
They're trying to microdose it. They're lacing heroin with it.
They're trying to put it in small enough amounts so it's functional? Yes. Okay. So the heroin is just a little bit better than the competition's. That's
but it won't kill you.
That's right? Bonkers.
And then so they make it a little bit more powerful, a little bit more powerful, until they've got it to the point where you can't tell what you're buying between different dealers, and you can't tell the efficacy, and you could just do one shot and kill yourself.
That's completely bonkers. Don't do drugs, kids.
Talking about the data accumulation aspect from earlier on in this particular segment, I'm just wondering how much of that falls into the category of, if you want data on any particular subject, it's there if you dig for it. Mm-hmm. Which I think explains why so many of these air quote epidemics, or so-called epidemics, are on things that you have to go a long way to actually find somebody else who has actually experienced it firsthand.
So in the chat, Lulz the Apprentice said that naloxone is pretty much over the counter now. That's how bad the opioid crisis is. It's worse than over the counter. Every time you go to a needle sharing place where they give out a pack of like 10 free needles to any heroin user, if that heroin user has gone through their little 1 hour training, one of those needles will be packed with naloxone so that you can reverse an overdose if you see it. They'll give these kits out where one of those needles is pre-prepared just to save someone's life. But naloxone and naltrexone are two different things. Naltrexone is what I was talking about before. That's a shot that you would get maybe once a month, and it takes away your ability to get high off of opioids. And it's used for alcohol abuse as well, but it's best used for opioid addiction. You can also get naltrexone in pill form, but then you have to take it every day, and people report getting sick off of that method a lot more than the shot method.
Lels the Apprentice has just made a comment that got me thinking about something. He says, but nobody talks about the Sackler family or why the opium production center has geographically moved. And that prompted me to ask the question, well, hang on a second. Exactly what did we achieve in Afghanistan recently? And by recently, I mean in the last 10 years.
Well,
Because as I remember it, Afghanistan, traditionally, one of their biggest crop is opium poppies.
and they've had record production.
And they've had
levels.
they've had record harvests.
One reason is the effort against the U.S. being there is being funded by opium production, right? And then the other reason is where we do bring stability, people start farming, and they want to farm a cash crop, and that's the biggest cash crop they have.
Yeah, but this prompted a further thought insofar as, okay, so when those poppies were being used predominantly for the production of heroin, we had a heroin epidemic. And
Yes.
now that those poppies are being channeled into so-called legitimate drug production, we've got a pharmaceutical opioid problem.
That
Again,
is true.
correlations, pattern matching.
So Lils the Apprentice mentioned the Sackler family. And as somebody who does a lot of painting, I know the Sacklers for the other reason that they are famous, and that is philanthropy.
I know nothing about this family. Educate.
Okay, so basically on every college campus, if you go to the art wing, where people are art students, you will find something of a museum with art in it that has their name. It could be like just one hall that they paid money to the school to have their name put on it, or it could be like the entire building is called the Sackler Building. But they
Right, so
they
they
are
donate
big into
to
donating to arts.
Okay.
A lot of their money is going to arts, but they are the family that they owned the drug companies that made OxyContin famous, and then as they saw that there was a backlash coming, the family members that were CEOs, they kind of replaced them with other CEOs, right? And so when drug companies started getting sued for misleading doctors into thinking that OxyContin and all of the different opiates were not habit forming, when the drug companies were sued, it was the proxy CEOs that got fired, and they took the fall. They got all the legal ramifications, and they got paid millions in their little parachutes, their golden parachutes, to take that fall. And no one from the Sackler family has ever been prosecuted for these crimes. In fact, some of the settlements against these drug companies specifically exclude the Sackler family. And it's as if explicitly, like,
wow.
These are the guilty people and these are not the guilty people. And written right into the judgment is the Sackler family did nothing wrong, right? And we're not going to prosecute them. When we bring this case against this drug company, we're explicitly excluding the Sackler family. And it's as if their billions of dollars that they've spent in the arts has been protecting them and keeping them from prosecution. Of course, they have lobbyists.
Ostensibly because I was just about to say, use the L word, ostensibly because of lobbying and their expensive patronage of U.S. arts.
Well, it's as if every state that pops up and says, hey, we have a problem with this too, they go to that state and they talk to the lawmakers and they're like, we will fund this museum that you're having a hard time funding and getting taxpayers to want to fund. We'll go ahead and step in and fund this museum if you lay off on this case. That's what it looks like. That's their form of lobbying. They're not giving money to political parties, the family itself. It's either they're going through all of those super PACs that can kind of launder money so that you can't tell who's giving money where, or they're giving to museums instead of the politician themselves that represents that area, so that the politician can go to his constituents and say, hey, I found a way to fund the arts and I didn't raise taxes, and so they take credit for it, for their everything working well in their county, but really it was the equivalent of bribery.
So this boils down to more or less fundamentally a case of #thanks capitalism.
Okay.
That's what I'm hearing.
Somebody yelled for me upstairs. That's why I wandered off.
Yes. Getting some good tips in the chat room on how to run a successful drug business. Maybe the FDA could take a few tips. I'm thinking to myself, it looks like they probably have.
So Bugsy's in the chat saying that he gets steroid shots and he has been getting them for 9 years in his back.
Well, rule number 1: never sell what you use.
Yeah.
No, it's never use what you sell. That's the way around that one goes, Matt.
It's the same thing.
It's not. Just because grass is green, does that mean if it's green, it's grass?
Haha.
My head is
So-
spinning.
So Bugsy
I'm too
is
high for this.
saying that
Yeah,
every
you're
time he
too high.
goes,
Matt, go and sit down.
Bugsy says every time he goes to the pain doctor that they try to offer him opioids for his back pain. And he's going on 9 years of this. And what I'll say about that is some of the pain management techniques that I've seen doctors gravitate towards now is instead of prescribing OxyContin for severe pain, they're going towards referrals to the methadone clinic or straight to the
This is
Suboxone
like, look,
doctor.
let's cut out the middleman here. We know where this is going.
Yeah, and if you were to be prescribed methadone or Suboxone, the dosage is something that is a lot more controllable. I've seen people cutting the strips, the sublingual strips for Suboxone. They'll get a prescription for like 1.5 strips.
I'm glad I've never really got into that stuff.
They'll open the
I
foil.
did morphine once, and I was like, you know what? That's enough.
They'll cut it in half, and the dosage is pretty much uniformly distributed on the strip. So they can take like 1/3 of a strip, they can take 1/4 of a strip, 1/8 of a strip, and that in that way they can prescribe in ways that are really precise versus pills like OxyContin having like so many milligrams per pill, and you can't control. Like if you were to break that pill open, half the pill could have the full dose in it, and the other half not, because
Also, you can't
most of the
smash
pill-
up a strip like you
most
can
of
a
the
pill
pill
and
is-
snort it.
Yeah. Most of the pill is filler. So you can't say that the dosage is evenly spread in it.
I don't know if you guys talked about this about Lil Peep dying, but it turns out he didn't OD on he OD'd on fake Xanax. So he didn't even have real medicine he died on. I think the medicine he died on was laced with fucking embalming fluid. Which for people who don't know, that's a really popular additive with a lot of drugs. Embalming fluid will fuck you up in a lot of ways.
So Exiled said that she was on methadone for 12 years. The biggest problem I see with methadone is people on high dosage methadone, it hits them hard in the beginning of the day. And if they have to go to a clinic daily when they start and they're on a high dose, right after that, they can't go to work. So they have to wait a couple hours. But when the time that the clinic's open and the time that they have to go to work can be the same time. So people who take home doses when they get the right to take like a whole week's worth of methadone home with them from the clinic, they're a lot better as far as they can wake up early, take their dose, have that initial hard-hitting hour or two pass by, and then go to work.
Yeah, Exile does clarify something in the chat room, which is another way to manage meds. She never increased the dosage during the 12 years that she was taking it. And what she did try was to not take it if it wasn't needed. And I would, because I follow a very similar regime myself, I would go so far as to suggest that that is something that needs to be possibly worked into the way these things are prescribed.
And she never went to a methadone clinic. She wants that.
And it was for chronic pain, and it was a low dose. Yeah, I mean, this whole paradigm of increase the dose until it stops being effective and then increase the dose. No, that is exactly the way to build up the sort of epidemics that we're talking about. The way to prevent that is to, you might consider it to be tough love or being cruel to be kind, but there are times when you get greater efficacy in withholding a pain med and just bearing down on the pain for a little bit so that the next time you take it, it's more efficient.
JT's in the chat wanting it to be said that the Sackler family started with Valium, and that was the company's biggest product. This is true. And also, one of the reasons why OxyContin was being promoted by the company and had this huge ad campaign towards doctors was the patent for Valium was about to expire, and it was about to go to generic drugs, and they were about to lose millions of dollars. So they needed to come up with a different formulation of opiates to be able to patent and then control. And they made that next one a little bit stronger, and it was extended release opiates that they came up with. And then when they marketed them, that whole marketing campaign was for market dominance, like they had with Valium. And the way that the patent expires and the companies start losing money right away because all the other companies can make generics, that actually was a contributing factor to the opioid crisis that we have now. The way that we handle patents, because that pushed that company.
I wouldn't argue against that.
That pushed the company to look for something else that they could patent and keep their market share with.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue against that. Again, hashtag thanks capitalism.
Yeah.
That's why I joined the Communist Party. I don't think I told you that, AOD. I joined the Communist Party.
You did, and you said that you were now in Antifa.
Yeah. It's been a weird fucking year for me, if I'm going to be completely honest.
As a card-carrying member of the Communist Party, can I ask a question, Matt?
You know what's funny? That's become my new catchphrase. It's like, as a card-carrying member of the Communist, because I actually do have a card.
Can I ask you a question in that capacity?
Yes.
What's your opinion on Stalag?
Oh, no. I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, I'll ask you again in a few weeks when you've had a chance to look it up.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of like regretting joining the Communist Party because it's like, I compare it to like a really old gang. It's just like a bunch of 60-year-olds who I'm pretty sure are like lifers. They're like, I joined the Communist Party in the 70s. I'll admit, I should have joined the Democratic Socialist. Should have joined them. They actually won an election here in Virginia.
So the next question on the AMA for the video was after Brian congratulated me on passing the test, he previous to that 19 hours ago gave me good luck for taking the test. And yes, I did pass the test that I was taking. And then Cuck Norris wanted to know if I was going to Alexander Kolpakov's next court date, which, yes, I plan to because it happens on a Friday that I have off. That's December 29th. But I'm going to make a separate video alerting everyone to this court date happening again. And back to the white supremacist angle, Fresh Whole Milk wants to know, are the 14 words a perfectly decent slogan?
What 14 words?
I know Napalm has to know what the 14 words are, because if you're going to be Antifa,
I
you have
don't
to
know.
your
I
enemy.
don't know all of them off the top of my head, but it's secure the white race and other dumb shit.
The slogan is, we must secure the existence of our people and a future for the white children. And it was a slogan coined by David Lane, a member of a white supremacist terrorist group known as The Order. And David Lane died in prison in 2007.
Okay, and what's the question relating to this statement?
Is it a perfectly decent slogan?
No. I mean, it's so bad of a slogan. Like, you just say 14 words, and people are like, "Oh, that shit."
Yeah, 14 words is a better slogan.
That's why more people use 14 words instead of actually saying the dumb thing.
Yeah, the actual statement.
And let's be honest, most of those fucking hick-ass fucking trailer park rejects probably can't remember it like I can't.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest and most simplest debunk to that statement is to substitute the word white with just about any other demographic.
The reason why I think it's probably a bad slogan is where I've seen it used is extremist people, especially like trolls online, trying to get people to say the 14 words as a purity test. And if your slogan has turned into a purity test where it's only used as a divisive thing to root out the people who really believe in your cause and the people who just sort of believe in your cause, then your slogan is not good for your movement.
I came to a realization, AOD. You know the bell curve, right? You know how that's become, like, popular again, like that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I realized something. Everybody, all the fucking white supremacists who are into the bell curve, they're racial cucks.
So I think I've got the answer.
Because, like, the bell curve, if you're not familiar with it, the bell curve actually doesn't say white people are the superior race. It says Asians are. And, like, a lot of white supremacists will, like, be like, well, Asians are better than Caucasians. But we're better than Africans.
I've
so
got
we're
an
second
answer to
place,
Mike.
is what you're saying.
I've got an answer to Mike's Jeopardy question.
What's that?
What is a cult?
Yeah, exactly. Fresh Whole Milk also wants to know, is ethno-nationalism the natural human condition?
I'd say it's partially driven by instinct, but that instinct can be further analyzed and come up as being fear of the unknown, to which exposure is generally the most efficient cure.
Before I answer that question, I'm going to take a sip from my Oy Vey cup.
Nice cup.
And I'm going to say, I live in what's described as the melting pot in America, but what I see is overlapping communities.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was muted. My bad.
And people will, they will self-segregate sometimes. Sometimes it's based on race. Sometimes it's based on status. But I see that people are able to live as neighbors and never introduce themselves to their own neighbors and be connected to a complete community that overlaps another community in, square mileage, like perfectly, and these two communities never have to interact at all. So
probably
the
because there is no
self-segregation that I
around.
see everywhere, it's like you don't have to have a country for white people and country for black people and a country for yellow people and red people. You could have the same country and people will just segregate themselves living in the same towns, having to use the same streets to go to work, and they will just never talk to each other.
You mean the way it's been for at least the last 150 years?
Yeah.
Oh, surprising nobody else has noticed, isn't it, really?
So, yeah, ethno-nationalism. I don't think that you need a whole nation for different ethnicities. You have communities that just live on top of each other, and then you have better food. Because let me tell you, living in Denver, I can get just about any kind of food that I want,
Including
whenever I
Taco
want
Bell.
it, and including Taco Bell, right? Which what nationality is Taco Bell from? I have no idea. I think it's
American, isn't it?
that's the best way to describe it. But yeah, I want to go to this place called the Mirage in Aurora sometime so I can have Russian food, because I've never eaten Russian food. I think their food might be as mixed as Americans because I've never heard of a Russian eatery before. But once I found out one existed, I want to go eat there. I can go get kebab. I can go get a gyro. I can go get Mexican food. You can't throw a rock without hitting a Mexican food place in Denver. Coffee of different types. I can get Russian coffee, or at least Russian themed coffee.
Very limited in your sources for a good old British cup of tea, though.
There are a couple of places that sell what they call British food here, and I don't believe that they are a good representation, because I see the things that Brian eats, and I've gotten the things that Brian has sent me from the UK, and the things that they are selling seem like a very Americanized version of British food. And I don't think that British people eat that much fish. Fish and chips is like
some
a
of us do.
fish and chips is like a stereotype.
Yeah, and it's a seafront.
Well, it's like on the same
It's a
level. It's
seaside
like
nicety. Yeah, it's not something every household has on a Friday.
We have like three different chains in our town of fish taco restaurants.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. I've heard that. Like, I've heard like pizza in the UK is weird.
Yeah, it's definitely not American pizza. Even the Domino's here has an anglicized menu.
I know Angus, like where he like Monkey Tail 2001, where he gets pizza. They put sweet corn on it.
Yep.
On
Yeah,
all the
you can get
pizzas,
that.
and I'm just
Not
like,
all of them.
I'm like, I wouldn't mind sweet corn on a pizza, but it's like every pizza.
Yeah, no, every
don't think
pizza
that'd
thing is a misnomer. You'll only get pizza on you'll only get sweet corn on a pepperoni if you ask for it as an extra.
What I'm trying to get at is that
But the problem is the dough, not
my life has been enriched with the ability to touch a
I
different
agree. You know what?
culture down the
I'm a
street.
pizza snob, Brian, and I agree with you. Like, to me, that is the hallmark of a good pizza. The dough.
it's the dough. And Exile is absolutely right. They do not know how to make pizza here.
'Cause, I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, cheese is cheese. Even like horrible cheese tastes good. And mozzarella is not a cheese you can really fuck up.
No, it's not.
And tomato sauce is, it's yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Mike. We bulldozed our way over your next point.
The best thing about not having a different nation for every culture is that I can go experience a culture for an hour by eating their food and then go right back to my culture if I want to. You know, I have that choice, and I have that option with so many different cultures, especially
Well,
with an international airport in my town, that it's awesome. I eat Korean food all the time.
but there's another element to that, Mike, and that is where you have a blending of multiple cultures. Yeah, you have new cultural artifacts that arise as a result of the merging of those cultures. For example, yeah, tacos and fish
Yeah,
and chips,
Tex-Mex.
providing the fish taco, for example. Yeah, I
But also
mean,
tacos
um,
are in and of
just
themselves one of those things.
there you go. Yeah, you've got the actual shell itself and the variety of fillings that you put in there. I mean, Jesus, to like chicken and mushroom and so all these French and Italian recipes going inside as the filling.
Or look at pizza, how pizza's become just one of the greatest blank canvases in cuisine.
Yeah, I doubt there is a nation that doesn't have a pizza topping ascribed to it.
I mean, maybe North Korea.
I don't know. You could make a very North
I
Korean
would.
pizza if you wanted to.
This is like a little off topic, but did you see about the defector who ran across the DMZ and got shot 6 times?
No, I didn't.
No.
Yeah, it happened Sunday, and basically, the doctors are trying to save his life and shit, but they're like, he is just filled with parasites and feces.
Damn.
And it's like every time they try to treat his wounds, just worms go into it.
Huh.
Lulzy blames the internet.
But yeah,
Mind
like they
you, with
ended up pulling like one worm out of his intestines that was almost a foot long.
Damn.
So that's reality is bringing up the last question in the chat. The last question for my video was somebody wanted to know, is it okay to be white?
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with my skin color. Anybody that does, speak to me about it.
Like I joke around about hating white people because, Klansman dad, he instilled a lot of hate in me.
Yeah, but I mean, there's drawing attention to something by ridiculing it, and there's taking it seriously.
For me, the question kind of naturally becomes, what is my value that I put on being white?
I put like absolutely none, really.
Zero.
Yeah.
Well, if you were to put a price on, like, if you could be paid a certain amount of money to compensate for being black in America, how much would that money be? What would the price tag that you would put on it be if at birth you're given the choice, be black or be white?
I mean, it's one of those
If
things
you're
like
black, you
Louis
get money.
CK said. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't care about being white, but if I had to re-sign up every year to be white, I probably would. It's less of a hassle in this country, let's be honest.
I cannot speak from an American perspective, obviously. I can only speak from my own life experience. But given the people that I've mixed with and the cultures that I've, been part of throughout my life, I wouldn't change a single thing, purely and simply because the diverse nature of those experiences. It's not been my skin color hasn't been a barrier to me anywhere. And that includes the low end of the scale just as much as it does the high end of the scale socially. What price would I put on somebody else's skin color? That's not a question I can answer because I have nothing on which to make such a judgment.
Yeah, and it would be like different, because people of African descent don't face the same problems I mean, they probably face, like, to an extent, the same problems in the UK that they face here in the States, but I don't know, Brian J. Are there, like, literally stories every week about, like, another unarmed black person being shot?
No.
Okay.
We don't have week in, week out stories of anybody
I was
being
thinking about
shot.
it. I forgot. Like,
When
your
somebody
cops,
when somebody does get shot, then it's a big story.
yeah, like your cops don't usually carry guns. I keep forgetting
No,
about that.
the only place where you'll find any arms is where modern security necessitates arms, and that would be at airports, ports, stations to combat threats at those locations.
So I got a message from somebody on Facebook, and then I got a question from That's Reality saying, "Is Corky a Jew or part of a separate race of human?" And for the purpose of that question, I'm not going to field the question. I sent Nick Bravo the link to this hangout, and if he comes in, he can answer the question himself.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought he was talking about Corky from Life Goes On. Remember that show?
Mm-hmm.
Is that guy still alive? Is Corky still alive?
I don't know. The real Corky? Let's see.
Yeah.
Wikipedia at my fingertips will tell me.
Yeah, Exiled makes talking of conditions over here in the UK. Exiled makes a very valid modern observation. The NHS and housing are such a mess, so people blame immigrants. Yes, that's increasingly true, and that is purely and simply because of the way the current socio-political sphere is being influenced, not in a small part, by losers.
Well, it's like the Republicans here in the States. It's easier to just shit talk and blame instead of actually govern.
Exactly. Shit talk politics is the easiest politics, and that's
why,
why it's so prevalent.
Have been bitching for 8 years about Obamacare, but when they finally get to the point where they can repeal it, they can't because they don't know how.
And they've got nothing to replace it with.
They're like,
so Nick Bravo Nick has joined us in our hangout. I think he's going to get something to snack on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Nick, you got a question. The question is, let's see, what was the question? Nick, are you Jewish or are you a separate species of human being?
Well, I have a very high IQ, so I might be Jewish. But have like the typical Jewish nose, so I very well could be a separate subspecies of Caucasian.
Okay. So Copter Force wants to know who invited Pennywise the Clown without makeup.
I could be. I could definitely be Pennywise the Clown without makeup.
Nick, you've normally been pretty good about keeping your hair well groomed. What is up with this wild look?
The wild look.
I've got it. I've got it. I know what it is.
What?
The Simpsons is going real life, and he's auditioning for Krusty.
Okay.
That works. That works. No, I just woke up. I actually had a pretty good night, so.
Nick, I don't want to be too cruel. I just want to say that you remind me of when Hulk Hogan would be getting the shit beat out of him right before he would Hulk out the guy down. You know, when his hair would be full of sweat.
And his hair would all be crazy. And he would just be all wild-eyed.
Oh, you want to hear the story of what led up to that?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so Tim had been coming over to the sober living house with all kinds of weird shit. I just finally told him, I need you to leave me alone. Just, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. And previous to this, he had threatened to burn a bunch of my books that I had. One of the house that he houses, that he was supposedly adversely repossessing. So there, I got a storage unit, did all that stuff, got everything out of that house. He started asking me, he kept coming over to the sober living house, asking me weird questions, being like, you haven't said anything, that house, right? And I'm just like, I was just so fucking fed up with this shit. I was just like, go away, leave me alone. He was like, you know, at one point he stole my phone. I found out he had been recording me at one point. He cut the, he uploaded it to the clone channel Nick Bravo. He basically chopped that into 2 parts because he kept trying to get me to say, was going to try to blackmail him or some shit. It's not about money, it's about justice, it's about ethics, and who I really wish I wouldn't have friends with, honestly, to begin with. You know, there were red flags. I didn't notice them. So anyway, a few days later, after the last time I see him, after the phone incident, the video incident, where he, I'm going to my PO office, right? PO. I had previously told him about Tim. You know, you can't have mace, you can't do this, you can't do that. Even if you fight back, even if you're being attacked, you're not allowed to fight back. If you even so much as throw a punch, make sure you go back to jail. And I'm like, okay, whatever, you know, but I took it seriously. I was going, the day that I got beat up, I was going to a new PO. And so I'm like halfway to the bus stop. Tim Maris, peace in Christ alone, comes up behind me, shoves me. Phone's on. I've been listening to my phone, right? I'm listening to like Pandora or some shit. He smashes the phone out of my hands. He starts swinging at me. I can see it in his eyes that he's just. I mean, I honestly just something didn't look right with him. So he starts physically attacking me. I'm just like, leave me alone. Because I know a great deal of it. Pissed off finally and filled out a rip-off report, as well as one on bigger pockets. Basically, that's you know, a couple of the reasons that he did what he did. Real happy that those guys came to my defense, because I mean I didn't know what the fuck to do. You know, and then eventually they took him away. The cops got him. Press charges because it was like, well, he got some street justice, and I'm like, well, that doesn't fucking matter, right?
Yeah,
I go to my new PO.
I think that's the biggest question on people's minds is, did Tim ever actually, you know, suffer the consequences of his actions?
No, Timmy does not. Timmy's a weasel. He did not suffer any consequences of his actions. He fucking actually used the video in question because shortly after, and not even a week after, you know.
No, I think with
my female PO. carry mace. If this guy's coming after you, carry mace. Do whatever you have to. Yada yada yada. I'll back you up. I'm like, okay, great. Well, damage has already been done. Week after, yeah, no, 2 weeks after, 2 weeks later, I go to my PO. Serve me a restraining order on behalf of Tim. Tim used the attack video to the judge to his safety. I'm like, and in the courtroom, I'm gonna have to get a transcript of that fucking court thing because it's literally hilarious. He used videos that were from way back in 2009, 2010 to the judge, and Timmy's whole thing was I need him to stay in LA and charges against him. He said, I'm in sober living. It's supposed to end at this date, and I don't have a place to go after this date. I just want to leave the state. I want to try to rebuild my life. I want to try to fix my life, etc. You know, Tim kept being like, no, I don't want him to escape the long arm of the law, and kept saying weird, cheesy shit. I mean, I never saw a judge put his head in his hands so many times. It was just like, it was ridiculous.
I just gave it to him because it's like, I'm tired of this shit. If I do this, will you leave?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Me to stay because you want him to do more legal shit. He keeps being pissed off about the bigger pockets thing. For a thing. And you know, he's got that clone channel, which YouTube is not taking down. Last I saw, like, he uploaded something, or one of his comments on a video he uploaded a couple days ago, one of the graveyard videos. He fucking convinced me to do that video. I told him, I said, yeah, it might be nice. We should go there, see if she's here, you know, put flowers on her grave, you know, see if she's got a gravestone, you know, and I mean, I was like, yeah, maybe I should spend $200 on a gravestone for her. It's me not doing that. There was a lot of shit that I should have did with that money, for example, that Tim talked me out of. I don't know why. And see, this is part of the problem. And you don't trust your own mind. I'm not capable, so I'm going to give the responsibility of myself to someone else. I kept thinking Tim wasn't. I mean, the first clue should have been, okay, well, he's a big fan of Happy Cabby. Got him. And as far as Tim's bullshit, I spent how many years trying to go after Happy Cabby? Going after Cabby, telling people he's a liar, he's a scam artist, he's using bots, he's using this, he's using that, he's grooming children for sexual perverted purposes, he's doing all this. I mean, I was just like,
Just a general
I
piece
kept
of
like,
shit.
yeah, preaching to the
Fucking
choir.
glad
Nobody was
you did.
listening to me. Oh, well, people were like, shut up, Corky, we don't want to hear it. Years later, people sit there, oh yeah, Nick's right. Right. So am I supposed to spend the next fucking, 10 years? You know, going, oh,
I'll be honest, Nick.
Maris did this to me.
I was one of the people who believed you from the start.
They didn't believe me.
Because I'll be honest, I never trusted Cabby. Even before I openly started hating his guts, I was like, I don't fucking trust him. I don't trust someone who smiles all the time. What are you hiding?
The same way. Tim is the same way. And it's like, I'm not going to sit there and spend. I mean, I've got better things to do with my life. I'm trying to fix my life. I'm trying to make something of myself, even to a certain degree. But I can't make any more YouTube videos because I've got people like Corky Fenster. I checked on his Twitter. He's now basically contacting people I went to high school with. Contacting them, telling them, hey, did you know your classmate is now a felon? And it's like, people haven't seen me in over fucking, what, 20 years? Why the fuck are you bothering them?
Well, maybe he figures that
insane.
they
I mean-
live where you live now. He's going for the people who might be living in the same area.
It's, yeah, and I know that, but it's like, it's so fucking pointless. It's so fucking pointless. I mean, and the thing of it is, they go, you need to get a job in a factory. So I'm like, are you fucking retarded? I mean, it's like in 50s, I could fucking get there with you. I'd be like, yeah, I can get a job at a factory. But it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. So I'm going to do that. I'm just keeping everything under wraps at this point because I was so proud of myself going to school. Once the trolls found out about that, they literally kept calling the acting school and saying, Nick is a sexual predator. He's prey. He wants to prey on young women. I mean, it's just, and I know for a fact that Happy Jesus, he lives in fucking Canada. He's doing it. I wish to God I could fucking have a video call like this with him.
Happy Jesus 1, 2, 3. Well, if he shows up, I'll give him the link. But I've never heard his real voice.
Tully Sorensen from Canada.
Okay. Well,
and that's because several years ago I was like really into like making the connections on YouTube and who's connected to who and who's doing what and like a bunch of accounts.
Oh, that shit will drive you mad.
Yeah, and it's like Space
Why I never
Monkey and a bunch
indulged
of these
it.
others, and it was like, I should have never indulged it. I should have never indulged these people. That's part of the problem. I kept trying to be nice. I kept engaging, and that's what fucked me over. Because I was told all my life, oh, you're nice to people. Doesn't fucking work.
One of the paradigms I'd like to see a shift towards is people assessing each other on their own merits again, rather than what cliques they're part of, because that's just bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean, on the bright side, I mean, I've gotten, emails from people who claim to be real estate investors, and they've said, this guy, and I've told him, I've said, just read the ripoff report. I'm sure there's other people trying to figure it out. I'm sure there's other people doing whatever they can to figure out what's going on. With my life.
All right, I need to interrupt you there for a second there, Nick. I need the three of you, Mike, Nick, and you, Matt. I need you to go over to Bugsy's Evil Deeds and throw him a sub so that he's got a nice little buffer on just reaching 50. He's now part of the big time. And I just want to officially recognize this fact on an open live hangout. And also to ensure that he gets a workable buffer on that milestone. There you go, Bugsies. Done the best I can for you, mate.
It's the Bugsy Malone 666, right?
No. Bugsy's Evil Deeds.
Yeah, but the channel, if you were to try to get
Under cheap. I muted myself. I was like fumbling over my fucking self to make that.
No, it's actually it's Bugsy's Evil Deeds, spelled with a Z. I will paste.
Here's one thing that
the URL that he picked.
I will paste the URL in local chat here. There you go.
Okay.
There's the URL. Go and subscribe to that channel.
That is the same.
The Stephan Molyneux thing. I don't.
That's the same. The Bugsy Malone 666.
Okay.
I don't know where you're getting that from, Mike, because I'm not seeing that anywhere.
Back when he chose his vanity URL,
Evil Deeds 666.
I'll do a screen share for you all to
Hang
to
on,
show you,
I'm just going for it.
I
right?
got that song stuck in my head.
So up here
I'm just seeing a hex key
in the
here.
URL,
Channel name.
the Bugsy Malone 666, right there.
Ah, yes. Well, this is what I'm seeing.
And I was already
Just for
subscribed to it.
comparison. But yes, that would appear to be the right channel. So yes, if you are watching this on playback, and you know who you are, Michelle, then you also need to go and subscribe to this channel and send all your friends, and we'll see if we can get him to 100 by the end of the week. There we go. There's a challenge. Let's get Bugsy up to 100 by the end of the week. All right, so I've done my shill show bit, so I'm done. Contractual obligations now fulfilled, Mike.
Plus, I linked him in the chat, so some other people can jump over easily. So that was all the questions that I had off the video. That was for my AMA. So yeah, if anyone has any questions.
Yeah. I was watching one of Jordan Peterson's videos, and I kind of got to thinking how it kind of relates to the drug war to a certain degree. If you think, the difference between competent authority and tyrannical authority, because if you look at a lot of people who are either in prison for behavior or drugs, I would bet good money on that over 80% of them were victims of, I use that term loosely, victims of tyrannical parents rather than competent parents. Say that is because I don't think a lot of people point as a child when you doesn't know as much as you do, or at least the parent is incapable telling you in a coherent manner. So like you see this in the Black community, for example. There's a lot of violence against children in the Black community. You can ask, why is this? Well, lots of reasons. Unemployment, drug use, fair, bad education, etc. All of these factors do to a great degree create an individual. Personality that you're born with notwithstanding. Because at some point, yes, you have to be responsible for your own life, but only one way of living is, violence, criminal behavior, etc. You're going to fall down a bad path through either criminal behavior, drugs, etc.
So, Nick, what I want to tell you is, for the last minute or so, you've been talking, and your connection is so bad that every 10 words you drop like 3 words, right? And it's making you sound very racist right now. Like what came through is probably not what you meant to say.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to say one of the big problems we have in society, children, is that we have parents using tyranny rather than authority.
Still not getting you. You just told me that one of the big problems we have in society is children.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
You're going to have to get a better internet connection.
Yeah.
That's just bottom line.
We have had a request in the chat.
I'm sure the trolls will take what I've said. Fucking run with it.
I was going to say we've had a comment in chat from Jay Moore who says, "I can only see heart of in your username there, Nick." But he wanted to say thanks for sharing your story of domestic abuse. He's a DV survivor himself. His ex-wife is in prison for breaking his skull. So I was wondering if maybe Mike could, or maybe you could give the rest of your channel so that...
it's Heart of the Rebel.
Heart of the Rebel. There you go.
Yeah. That's.
Looks like you're preparing to do crayons, Mike.
I am. I have been. I've been cleaning up this desk as we've been talking.
Yeah, I'm glad she's in prison too. Cracking somebody's skull is a no-no in society, in my view.
Start with just seeing if this will work by collecting some red crayons out of these crayon boxes. And I'm going to try to, over the course of a couple hangouts, make a YouTube play button out of crayons.
On nice new canvases too.
Well, the first one, yeah. The rest of them go to the side.
Didn't you just break those out of packaging?
Yes.
So
I've got a lot of them. I got a lot of them still in packaging.
So they're all new canvases, ostensibly.
Yes, this is all new
Not
canvas.
just the top one.
Now I'm taking. I need to use an extension cord for this heat gun here.
You know, I miss the simplicity of American plug sockets. Now you want Chinese?
Who wants Chinese?
Exiled wants Chinese. We don't have the makings for Chinese, which means I've got to go out for Chinese. Still means I have to go out for Chinese.
Now I've got to open my room door so that in case this gun puts out a lot of heat, I'm not going to collect it in here.
Ooh, does that mean we might have a fire?
No, it's just hot air in the attic space that is my office.
Oh, so people that are watching this in high def will get to see heat haze.
Possibly, especially because the heat gun is
because
right
heat
on
rises, and we're sitting right above you right now.
Yes. And so there's the heat gun. Crayons. I haven't heard a lot from Napalm in the last couple minutes. What's up with that?
I think he's topping up on the couch. So you're going through all of these different boxes of crayons for getting the red one out.
Yeah, and the next thing I have to do is actually take the paper off the crayons.
So why didn't you just get a couple of boxes of red crayons?
Because you can't.
What?
This is the US. I could probably get it online, but what I did was I went to Walmart and I took this glue gun because the sticks for this glue gun were the same size as these crayons. Even the Crayola brand crayons were not the right size for sticking in here. And I don't know that size matters in this context.
No, but color does.
But color does. But you can't get a box of just one color crayon in regular stores.
That's silly.
I might be able to get them online, but the thing about crayons is they are fucking expensive. They're not the cheapest thing in the world, these fucking crayons. And so I got a really good deal on these crayons being around 68 cents a box You would not believe when people have a bucket of crayons on Craigslist, how much they want for their crayons.
Okay, so I'm now looking at these shades, and I'm thinking you can probably dilute the red with a bit of orange now and again.
Well, the thing is, until I come up with a way of melting to mix shades, I don't, other than like drawing with it first, I don't want to do any kind of project that isn't completely just solid colors anyway.
It's easy. You just melt down the crayons that you want to blend and mix them together in a liquid state, and then remold them into the sticks for the glue gun. And you can make a mold for the sticks for the glue gun from an existing crayon.
Listen to you, making a mold, making a what? Okay, that's more work than I can do in this setting. Okay,
Making a mold is ground root stuff for you artists, isn't it?
it is, but not within the course of one hangout. So,
Well, who said anything about for this hangout? I was talking about for the future.
There's the cup that I'm going to be putting all of these in. That you like? Narrowing it down to just the red ones for now. I feel like there's a drum roll on me and there's not much conversation. And I need the conversation to cover the fact that this is not that.
It is a drum
exciting.
roll. We're fascinated. We're watching.
I'm fascinated that I'm about to stick crayons through a hot glue gun, right? And try to control it.
People have tuned in for this explicitly.
Sorry to interrupt. So am I coming in better now
So
without
far,
the video?
There we go.
yeah.
Okay, that's probably the problem. Yeah. What I was trying to say was there's a difference between tyrannical authority and competent authority.
True
And
story.
you are. Yeah, the healthier your children are going to be, the more successful you're going to be because of competence. If you're a tyrant, you're gonna raise people who have problems. Not the least of which drug addiction, and other antisocial behaviors.
Oh, yeah. I know we're talking about some fairly obvious antisocial behaviors, but, in this particular context. But when it comes to the topic of antisocial behaviors generally, one does have to acknowledge the fact that those are more or less shaped by the society in which they're applicable.
Yes, but there are behaviors that lead to more ways of living.
Oh,
Not all
absolutely. Informed consent every
not all-
time.
All cultures or behaviors are equal,
No, they're
and
not.
you have to ask what the goal is. And I don't think most people understand this. I mean, we can sit here on YouTube in kind of an echo chamber. All of this is obvious. Well, it's obvious to a lot of people on the internet because they tend to be more self-educated, questioning of things going on. But
Yeah,
the fact that-
I hear what you're saying there, Nick. But
Okay.
speaking as a parent, I can
Okay.
I can say with absolute certainty that the prime goal of any parent, any competent parent, is to raise your offspring so that when they become an adult, when they hit adulthood themselves, they are able to proceed within their lives in an informed manner.
Yeah.
You know?
But also, I would add to that that you, Brian, probably make an effort to be competent in pretty much everything you do, correct?
Well, that's kind of the way that I was raised, yes. It was something that
Exactly.
I had drummed into me by various means, some of
Exactly.
which in the modern paradigm could be argued as being oppressive or detrimental to me in some other area.
Did you have your wrist wrapped with a ruler?
I had more than that. I had one school where I got the slipper, which is basically being whacked on the back end with a slipper, and another place where I was caned twice.
And not in a way that you liked it.
No.
Okay.
No, we're talking a regulation cane, which is no thicker than the thumb. So we're talking a nice springy willow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you knew why you were being disciplined, right? I mean, it wasn't just, violence for the sake of violence.
It wasn't arbitrary. No, it was to prove a point, and it was a point very well made.
What I'm more or less talking about as far as American culture, that a lot of people in lower income brackets tend to suffer a lot of issues. And from what I've seen and from what I've heard from other people, will just engage in violence for the sake of violence against their children.
Yeah, well, violence for the sake of violence is not generally considered acceptable within society anyway, so I don't see any metric by which it should ever be considered acceptable within any training for society environment, and that is the definition of parenthood: training your offspring to be functional within the society that you are raising them. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And the glue gunning has started.
Well, it's taking 2 crayons to push the first crayon down there, but I can feel it kind of melting in there. Oh, here it goes. It looks like blood. And when I gun it, it's dripping like, oh, wow.
Now that opens up some really nice art possibilities.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, did you see on Drudge that there was that painting that was just nothing but red splotches sold for, like, I think, $2 million or something?
I hereby name this painting The Death of YouTube.
Well, something that happened was the trigger melted some of the crayon, like, onto my fingers. Like, it's leaking through the trigger right here.
Subtitled, and Mike's fingers.
Yeah. Or
brackets and glue gun.
Yeah. So oh no, I just pulled the trigger and it splattered everywhere. Did you see that?
Yeah. Inglorious HD.
Oh, that's not good. This is not good. I might still be able to stick another crayon down here and get some more.
And make it worse.
Yeah, and make it worse. And if I hold down the trigger, I might be able to. Oh shoot! That ow on my thumb. This is like when you don't like what your dom is doing. Ugh.
You need a safe word for your glue gun.
I do need a safe word for my glue gun. So it's mucking up my glue gun right now, and it's not going down properly because the temperature melts the can. It's melting the crayon before it gets to the point where it needs to be melted. It's not working like the glue of a glue gun.
Yeah, because it's got a much lower melting point. Now you're going to have
shoot,
to.
it's squirted there that way too again.
Yeah, you're going to have to bite the bullet here and maybe shove a pencil or a paintbrush back end down there to push the rest of that crayon through.
The way that it's melted, like not just back through this tube right here, but it's also like melting. Oh, look, it's just dripping right out of it, out the side right there.
Yeah, it's filling all the cavities in that gun.
Yeah, I might have this
You're gonna
gun
have
might
to
be
take a
toast.
screwdriver to that.
After this sitting, this gun might be toast. But let me take this paintbrush and push down.
And back.
You might have to use a paint scraper to flatten out that wax to get your button.
I can still push the button. It's just
No, I'm talking about on the canvas.
Yeah. Oh shoot. This is not as controlled as I thought it would be. I was not prepared for this. I'm not wearing the right apparel, that's for sure. Okay, now my paintbrush is going down in there, but it's like it's not pushing on hard wax. It's just going all the way down.
It is.
So it's yeah. But
Okay, now you might want to roll that paintbrush on the canvas to get some of the wax off.
Part of the candle came out. If I just use the end of the gun, I can probably just melt that way.
Oh, there we go.
I feel like I'm watching this. No offense to Mike, but I gotta make a joke. I feel like I'm watching a Hitler fail at art school.
Oh! Wow!
Burn.
Oh man! That,
I had to. I'm sorry, man. Anyway.
I think you just won today's internet.
yes, I gotta say, like, as much as that burned, like what I know about comedy and the art of a callback with what we were talking about before, that was like the best joke of this entire hangout.
Yeah, that
It
was
not
master.
by me. That sucks. Holy shit.
Night, Jay Moore.
Yeah.
So touching the hot crayons doesn't really like burn in a way that I'm afraid of.
But it does still drip, which is good.
Yes, and the amount of coverage I'm getting is not what I expected. I expected more coverage out of these crayons to be able to cover this entire canvas with red in just like 5 crayons. But it's turning out to be, it takes a lot more crayon than I was expecting.
I think that's just a case of spreading it out thinner.
Oh, it's dripping all over. Ooh. That's not
Yeah,
just
don't
a little
forget
bit.
it's all in the cavities of the gun.
Yeah. And that means I might have killed the gun after this sitting because I really don't want to risk problems with it being gummed up.
Well, that's just a case of opening it up and clearing the cavities and functional bits with tools.
I suppose it is. It has screws to it.
Yeah, it's a fixable problem.
And I can push down with this gun and do this. But now what I'm going to try is just like the direct approach. Like, luckily this doesn't take a match or a lighter, but I can just melt it this way, and I can get some controlled drippage this way.
Yeah, and as I said, with a paint scraper, you can actually thin it out a bit. And if you warm the paint scraper, you'll be able to get a nice...
You like crayons like candles. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can do that.
You could, but you'd end up with the same scorching that you get with candle wax. I think. So, Mike, I think for the viewers' benefit, you need to make yourself prominent in the Hangout.
prominent.
Yeah.
Like like lock the screen.
Yeah,
so
lock the
people
screen.
talk. Okay, let me just reach over there and lock the screen. There you guys go.
There we go.
And
No, it doesn't work for us, but it works on the stream.
Okay.
Everybody,
Matt,
Misty's in the room.
Have you ever read
Misty?
any
It gummed up this way because it melts too quick and it melts all the way up.
AOD, I don't know if you saw this. Fucking Kuros was giving me shit on the fucking Napalm Nook video. It's like, oh, you should have a topic.
You should have, but you had like 10 different topics.
Yeah. That's the beauty of me. You get a potpourri of topics with each video. Because I'll just forget about a topic a minute into talking about it, and then I'll talk about something else.
Yeah, one of the best things about your topics, Matt, is the way that, you know, you will end up on a ramble on how badly you're covering the topic. It's one of the things.
Yeah, and I can just, I can artsy-fartsy this shit. Just be like, look, it's a meta commentary on YouTube.
Exactly.
Talking itself.
It's abstract. What do you want from me?
Yeah. I'm an
artist. Not believe in any meta arguments ever when the meta argument was also used to defend you.
It is what it is.
I just heard Exiled say in the background, "It is what it is."
Yep, she did.
And that is
Also,
actually
I liked your
a phrase that's being overused in MMA right now. Jordy's not here, but he would appreciate what I'm saying here. Basic. What'd she say?
Did you read my comment on the chat?
Video on the breakfast.
Oh, your first video on the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, exactly. I did.
I'm supposed to be making one of those at some point.
Yeah. Help me find my.
You got invited?
Yeah, I've been invited.
Well, I thought they had put a limit on inviting British people.
Well,
that's okay.
It's only as on the back benches. It's like okay, I've got a hole to fill. Here's a video that was done earlier.
What I need now are like big tweezers. If I'm going to keep doing this,
like the big problem specifically told me not to do things that can date the videos because he doesn't know when he's going to put my videos up. So it's like shit. There's you can do without dating yourself on YouTube.
Yeah. So things that aren't time critical.
Misty just said I need a low temperature gun. Which
that's probably true.
For the amount of control, I think I'm better off with going outside the gun the way that I just started.
Yeah, you could always use either that gun or, as I said, a paint scraper that's warmed up to further spread that out.
Well,
also, I have a new theory with Trump. I don't think Trump's ever had sex.
Sorry, what?
Ever. Trump, Donald Trump. Because I was looking at the comments on the new Napalm Nook, because I haven't looked at those ones, other than the Kuros one. I haven't looked at them yet. And I saw AOD said this is a more comprehensive video about Trump's inability to read. I have a new theory with him. He's never had sex. All of his kids are through artificial insemination.
That's stupid.
He just comes off as like maybe it's because since I've been sick this week, I've been watching a lot of extra history on extra credits and I watched the one about Catherine the Great. Really reminds me of Catherine the Great's first husband, where he wouldn't have sex with her. He would just, like, when they would go to bed, he'd order one of his maidservants to move his toy soldiers around while he made sound effects and gave them commands. I'm like, I could see Donald Trump doing that, like in bed with Melania. Like, now move Superman over here and have him punch Doomsday. Yeah, that's what I like.
Probably make for a very entertaining cartoon.
So the theory about
Plus,
Donald
he's got those
Trump not
tiny little
reading
baby hands.
The-
He can't play with fucking action figures.
the, the
He probably can't even play with Lego men.
the theory about Donald Trump not reading at all is like you never see him actually reading something that's put in front of him. He signs these giant bills that are basically ceremonial. They're not really like the actual bill. It's just like a ceremonial signing, and he never likes his the things that are put before him to be more than a page long. Like there are actual pressers out for people who are going to be presenting things to Donald Trump that say, please don't make it more than a page long.
Like, he's not going to read it.
Well, he might have a difficulty reading that he's been hiding. And also his lawyers are always by his side ready to read stuff.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I really hope, like, during the next election, the next Democratic candidate just fucking slaps down a piece of paper. It's like, read what's on that piece of paper right now.
Exiled has a
Do
question.
it.
What's that?
Ask your question.
Oh, the question
You know,
is,
one thing, Mike, you might try to do as far as that artistic stuff with that crayon is if you had like if there was some way of like put a hot plate or something under it to melt the crayon and then just like spread the crayon around as though it were paint. I'm not sure how that would work though.
That's what I've been suggesting with the warmed paint scraper.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to get the dripped look.
Well, it's just a blob now. I mean,
That's what I'm going for. It's going to look like a blob. And then some
Okay.
order-
Rolled over, exiled.
it doesn't look good, Michael.
I'm not a painter, so I don't know what I'm talking about in regards to that.
Okay, so the question is Trump/Russia a conspiracy?
I don't think so at this point.
It's fake news.
Agreed upon at this point by the intelligence community that, like, yeah, Russia did some meddling, and yeah, it looks like a lot of people in Trump's campaign had meetings with either Russians or groups affiliated with Russia, like WikiLeaks.
Well,
Yeah, because they're businessmen.
it does have to. It does have to be.
Well, we also
again,
got to keep in mind we're specifically talking about Donald Trump. Did Donald Trump meet with people or command people to meet with Russia in regards to the election? So far, there is no evidence to that. Now, as far as Hillary concluding with Russia to sell them uranium and doing all kinds of shaky shit, yeah, Hillary, she's fucking headed for prison.
Well, I would
think
say
Hillary
that
belongs in a cage.
collusion is something that's very easy to prove in that there was a press conference when Donald Trump said if Russia could possibly find all those missing emails from Hillary, that would be really nice for me. That was enough to prove collusion, and that's like a publicly known video. And if Robert Mueller doesn't bring that up, then he's not worth the money that he's getting paid.
I think he will. Like, Mueller's a beast.
This is my
But
last
right now, he's
crayon.
like Mueller's right now focusing on Flynn and probably trying to flip Flynn.
Hmm.
And Mueller's doing it the smartest way he can by going after Flynn's son first and foremost.
Well, I think the strategy there is fairly obvious. When you're trying to crack anything, then you go for the weakest points.
Yeah, that's why he went after fucking Papadopoulos.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're gonna have ethical standards for one politician, you have to have them for them all. Because, well, there's two questions. Number one, what ethical standards are we going to hold politicians to? And then number two, if we don't go after a politician because we like them, or we're going after a politician because we don't like them, how does that affect the ethical principles?
Yeah, but by the
Because-
same
I don't know,
token,
Clockwork
Nick,
Force. The Democrats,
the
at least
same
in
token-
Virginia, got their shit together, and that's why we fucking managed to beat out 20 years of fucking Republican gerrymandering here. To be fair, that's just the Democrats on the state level here. The national
by the
DNC is a lot
by the same
crappier.
token, if you are going to apply the same ethical standards, across both sides of the political divide, you've also got to apply the same standards when evaluating evidence.
And I'll be honest, I'm no fan of Hillary. Like, she, look.
Well, let's
But it's like,
also,
you know what? I'm like, let's focus on the guy who's in power and not the political has-been. Like,
Yeah,
if we could
there's
get
that
her,
too. You
that's
know, I
fine.
mean, what
here's one.
what is the point of
Here's one
prosecuting
perception.
a what if? Hillary isn't
Yeah,
in
here's
the
another
White
perception.
House.
If just because Trump is the figurehead does not mean that necessarily he's the one in control or the one in charge. Because the thing of it is, he's in
No.
power because he had a team of people assisting him getting into power, including PR people and whatnot.
point-
There were, of course, backroom deals. Everybody does backroom deals. But the thing
Yeah,
of it
but
is,
the point is,
can we blame Donald Trump for everything?
the point is, you
Can't,
cannot
because
hold
that
a
is-
sitting. The point is, you cannot hold a sitting president, and say, okay, well, hold them to the same standards as a wannabe president.
Exactly.
If you're actually in the office, then you are beholden to standards that are not applicable to people that have only run for that office. Yeah?
Uh-huh. But you got to remember
there
that
is
there's a whole...
absolutely no point in making any
Yeah, and
argument against Hillary Clinton in defense of Trump, because Clinton is not sitting in that office. Trump is. So he is beholden to those ethical standards. Hillary isn't.
Well, what about when she was Secretary of State and let all those emails
It should have been dealt. It should have been dealt with at the time.
All right, guys. So the gun is smoking because it's got some crayon burning inside of it, and you can see the smoke probably hitting the camera right now. See that?
Yep.
So even that little amount of smoke is not good for this application. I'm going to have to find a different way to do this. Hot glue gun is a bust. I did make it work to get this far into this project, and I will continue this project in another hangout. But for now, I think we're done. This is a good stopping point, and I will regroup with some other way to melt crayons at a later date.
I still think you should warm up a nice blade, like a paint scraper, and just run that across to melt and smooth that. I know it doesn't give you the drippy look that you're after, but
What if
Exactly.
what if you
I'm looking for this drippy look.
tinfoil as the canvas? Would that work? Heated tinfoil as the canvas.
Tinfoil as the canvas and then heat the tinfoil. Problem is,
Yeah,
most
heated
things that would heat the tinfoil can burn. You might not have ever seen
Okay.
it,
Also,
Yeah,
but it
it can.
can.
Delta Force.
Yeah,
Again,
but
the
tinfoil
Democrats
can't.
here in Virginia were pushing, like, that was the #1 campaign issue that decided the elections here. Is fucking Northam was like, yeah, I'm gonna get universal health care for the state. Like, oh, we can't rely on the Affordable Care Act because that might get fucking butchered the fucking back. And plus, again, Virginia's, why not again, but like Virginia's one of the more economically stable countries, not countries, states in the union. So we can actually afford all this shit. And if we legalize marijuana on top of it, oh man, we might actually get fucking free college too.
Yeah, but I would argue I would argue about the quality of college. Because with college, here's the thing. Like in Europe, they have free college, but they test
No, we
the
don't.
applicant. And if you don't pass those tests, you're basically not going to get into college.
No, you don't. No, we don't. We in Europe don't. There are a couple of places in Europe that do. But we in Europe en masse, no, that's not a true statement.
Okay.
All right, guys, that's the end of the show.
Okay.
Thanks everyone who had questions for the AMA portion. Thanks to Jordy, Napalm, Nick, Brian, and even all the people who had questions. Just thanks. I'm going to go get some breakfast. Jordy just popped up, but he's too late. We're going to cut off this show before he can get a word out, that damn Canuck.
Oh, didn't even let me get a word in?